Hands Off Our Children will begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You are now tuned in to Hands Off Our Children radio show. We are now in full effect. Let's get them, y'all.
I'm not afraid.
Yeah. It's been a ride. I guess I had to go to that place to get to this one. Now some of you might still be in that place. If you're trying to get out, just follow me. I'll get you.
I arrived here in 2004.
Brian Rosell and his daughter Kelly have been living illegally in the U.S. for almost 10 years. They are just two of the 11 million undocumented immigrants currently living in this country. When Kelly was just 4 months old, Brian found himself in a difficult situation, caught in the crosshairs of two rival gangs in El Salvador and looking to reunite with his daughter.
When I crossed into this country, I crossed through the desert. I spent 10 days walking through the desert. I was dying. I didn't have help. I didn't have strength. I went 7 days without food, 5 days without water.
When she was just a baby, Brian and Kelly's mother split up. He fought for custody of Kelly and got it. At the age of 17, Brian became a single father.
She was just a baby. I didn't know how to change her diapers. I didn't know how to feed her. Nothing. But still, I fought for her.
For 5 years, Kelly lived without knowing her mother. And then, one day, she reappeared.
When she came, she asked me if she could take her to Chuck E. Cheese. I told her yes, she could take her to Chuck E. Cheese, but please bring her back by 5 p.m. So they left that day. 5 o'clock comes around and she doesn't show. At 6 p.m., she didn't answer. By 7 p.m., she had shut off her phone, and by the time 8 p.m. rolled around, I was growing desperate.
Kelly had been kidnapped. As an illegal immigrant, Brian couldn't turn to law enforcement without alerting authorities of his legal status and that of his daughter.
I fell into a major depression. I lost my job. I stopped going to church.
It was 2 years and 4 months before Brian finally heard from his daughter. He began visiting Kelly on the weekends, eventually taking custody of her once again. And right as things were getting back on track, he was arrested for disorderly conduct in fall of 2012, flagged as an illegal immigrant, and marked for deportation.
I asked immigration if I gave them information, if they would help me. He said yes. If I helped them catch another criminal, they would help me, and so I did this. I helped them, and I gave them information. And they said, we'll let you go, and we'll put this bracelet on your ankle. And then they gave me a paper, and they said that with this paper, I could then go upstairs and get a work permit.
But according to Brian's lawyer, who wasn't present when Brian signed that document, the paper was not an amnesty promise. It was expediting his deportation.
They lied to me.
ICE authorities told Brian he needed to come up with the money to buy his own ticket back to El Salvador, and for that matter, the funds for his daughter if he wanted her to join him, all by July 31st. But when he arrived back at his Virginia apartment, Brian discovered that he had lost his job and his landlord had kicked him out.
When I left jail to look for my things, he told me he threw them in the garbage. How are you going to throw away a plasma television? How are you just going to throw away a Nintendo Wii, good clothes, a big refrigerator?
Everything that Brian Rosell had built and bought for himself was gone. This is the reality of living illegally in the U.S., living day to day with an uncertain future constantly on the horizon. I met Brian at an immigration reform rally. The rally coincided with Kelly's 10th birthday. But instead of a cake and a party, this little girl had cupcakes and a picket sign asking for the government not to deport her dad. And the land of opportunity Brian risked his life to enter has not been as bountiful as he had hoped for.
Just yesterday, I didn't have any money. My daughter wanted a gift for her birthday, but I didn't have any money. She just wanted shoes.
But sometimes he gets lucky as a day laborer.
An American showed up, and he asked me if I could rake up a few leaves. I said yes, and asked him how much he would pay me. He said $15 an hour. I said yes. The American was so pleased with it that he gave us $50 for 2 hours of work. I said, wow, thank God. I have $50 to go buy shoes for my daughter. So I went back from work and we took our bikes and we went to a store that is close and we bought her shoes.
Hey, we back, everybody. Welcome back to the Hands Off Our Children radio show. Those clips that you heard a minute ago, very disturbing.
Yes.
Very disturbing. That somebody has to live in our country in fear the way they live, and they already here in our country. You get what I'm saying? Right. What I don't understand about a lot of this, and then I'll be coming to my co-host, Miss Elsa Prado. Hola, mommy.
Hola, Cogee, ¿cómo estás?
Hey, how you doing?
I am good. I'm back. I was in here last week, but I am back.
And she was in Mexico.
Oh.
Yes, she was. Miss Elsa Prado from Chicago, my co-host. Y'all know when she comes in the second and third hour, she's my co-host, definitely doing it big. Elsa, let me ask you a question real quick. You know, when you hear these stories right here, how disturbing are they to you? You know, being that that's your nationality.
Well, you know how it is. It's not only my nationality, but there's a lot of other nationalities that are impacted, and I think that's part of the situation that a lot of people kind of assume it's just one part of, you know, like one country, when we're really looking at multiple countries that are involved. And for me, as you know, part of the work that I do, I get to see and do interviews where these children are involved, and it just breaks my heart. And knowing that we have this means of communication, we got to get it out to the people, educate them, and like you said, let's get our pencils and papers out and get information so that we can help out.
Right. Yeah, you're definitely right about that. And Elsa, let people know why are we doing this show today and why it's important for us to do this show today.
It is very important to do this show because there's a lot of perceptions about the immigration situation that are completely distorted. And we need to set the record straight. And this is why I have people that are the experts with us today. You know, we have a psychologist that's going to talk to us about how this is impacting the emotional development of children and how it affects families. We will have an attorney talking about all these things that is a specialized immigration attorney. We have Toribio Barrera, who is an activist, actively working here in the city of Chicago. So we're bringing it here. We're bringing it on this show, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to hopefully disseminate a lot of these doubts that people have.
That's right. You definitely right about that. And that's why I say, Elsa, you know, me and you, you know, we talk all the time, and we talked over the weekend, me, you, and Jay, because we always game plan and, you know, our situation. But the thing about it is, when we do these when we do these shows, we definitely wake up with these hearts every day that we have right now. We don't just do this on Wednesdays and feel like it is what it is. Because if I could do this show more than Wednesday, I would do it more than Wednesday to show what I can do. But as of now, you know, this is the way we got to do it. We got better things coming. You know, me and Jay, and also we building some things right now to where it's going to be a lot more shows. We can do a lot more things. I'm going to have a lot more freedom to do the things I want to do, because that's what means the most to me, is to be able to bring these things to the forefront and bring change. We're not doing these shows to hurt nobody. We're not doing these shows to disrespect nobody. But in the process, people are being hurt and people are being disrespected. So I got to reverse everything I said. And that's why we're doing the shows right now, because people are being hurt and people are being disrespected. And we need to bring it to the forefront and say some of these poor children have been brought over here as infants and they still here. What can you do as an infant? Say, I don't want to go? You get what I'm trying to say? But once you here and you ain't caused no problems, or you know what? Let me tell you, maybe something happened where you had an idea, you had anything, and something happened where the ID wasn't right. Well, 9 times out of 10, you only get an ID so you have something to say that you somebody, so you'll be here. You're not just trying to disrespect nobody and be here without nothing. You get what I'm saying? Right. Elsa, what do you think, real quick, that they can do to help? You know, I got to go back and forth with you real quick before I go to our guest.
Right.
What do you
think?
think?
I mean, we got to get involved.
Right.
One of the things that you saw, I believe, the pictures. You know, we actually went to a function where it was a fundraiser for the immigration cause. And we were there. With Toribio Barrera and I were there at the dinner, and you saw the picture. We were there with Congressman Luis Gutierrez, who's really trying to help the community in, helping. We cannot let our children keep getting hurt this way. There's got to be other ways of solving this.
Right.
We got to find solutions that do not involve the well-being, that are going to impact the kid. We have to have well-being for our children. And what is Hands Off Our Children all about? We are all about helping our children. They're our future. And like you said, can an infant say, no, I don't want to go? Don't take me illegally? No.
Right. And so
they're vulnerable.
Right.
They're vulnerable.
Very vulnerable. But the thing about it is, it's just like what happened on the commercial a minute ago. They can get kidnapped. They can get taken away. They can get molested, raped, all kind of beat, all kind of stuff can get done to them, and they can't even report it.
Yeah.
Because they'll be deported. I can't report it because I'll be deported. Now, what's wrong? What sounds wrong with that? So that means I got to take anything that happens to me and just live with it. Nobody should be treated like that in this world. Nobody.
Whether you're a citizen
and we call this land of free?
Yeah.
Where is the freedom? Freedom for what? We got to ask ourselves these questions. I'm going to throw out a lot of food for thought today.
Throw it, Elsa. Food fight it on the show today.
Food fight. We're going to throw out the food for thought.
I love it, boy, because I'm telling you, when you light her fuse, oh, my goodness. Oh, it's going to pop.
I'm not Mama Bear just for the heck of it, right?
That's Mama Bear on the show. Yeah, she's definitely going to fight. So, Elsa, what I want to do, our guest is in. If you want to introduce them, everybody's in right now. You can introduce them and bring them in. And what we'll do in this hour, I want to have an open forum. And in the second hour, that's when they can get a little bit more, personal. But in this first hour, I think we all need to speak as a family. You get what I'm saying? And caring people in the community. We need to speak as, a town. We having a town meeting right now. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Except it's
That's
all over the world.
Exactly.
It's all over the world
Right.
with everybody that's listening.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely right. So, Elsa, you can introduce them and let's bring them in.
Well, I want to roll out the red carpet for our guests today that have kindly donated their time. We are talking about three very busy people. And we had to literally do a circus act to get everybody together today for this time that we are going to be sharing together. And I'm going to start with our activist, Toribio Barrera, from Chicago.
All right.
And then I'm going to go on to Marieli Gonzalez.
All right.
She's our psychologist that will be talking about why it is so critical and important that we look at these things. And, of course, our attorney also here from Chicago, a great law firm here in Chicago specializing in immigration. We have Daniel Fisher. I welcome you all to the show. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me your time and the organization your time. I thank you.
That's right. Thank you, guys. I definitely want to thank you all. I want to say that having you all here, it really means a lot because one thing I always say when it comes to being a superhero, even if you see superheroes on TV, they can't save the whole world. They need help. We need other superheroes to step in. We need more people with capes to go into their phone booth and come out of their phone booth and let's get ready to get down and let's get ready to do what heroes do. We bring change, we bring safety, and we definitely make people comfortable to be wherever they are. I help them to be comfortable. So, guys, I thank you all a lot.
Yeah, thank you very much, Cogee. Can you hear me?
Mr. Rubio, how you doing today, sir?
Pretty good. Thank you. I was, I didn't know if I was on the air yet. Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation again. It's great to be on your show again. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You know, I definitely am glad that I have a vehicle, me and Elsa, me and my whole team. We have Hands Off Our Children, this platform to be able to bring you guys on, to speak on. And I just want to say that whenever we do these shows, I think that before we start, we shouldn't hold back on our information. There's nothing that should be censored that we feel we really don't want to say, because the things that we really don't want to say are the things that should be said and aren't being said. Mm-hmm. And that's what brings change. You know, we're not going to have no bad language on the show or nothing like that, but I'm talking about certain ideas, certain things that we see in the news that are lies and not true, but the news might put it in the news to make it look even worse for this race. You get what I'm trying to say?
Mm. Yeah, you're definitely right. Thank you, Cogee. And one thing that I would like to add regarding the invitation that we got to with Congressman Luis Gutierrez, Reverend Jesse Jackson was also there, and he reminded us when he was with Dr. King when they were marching to do the right thing, to do what is right. He was Reverend Jesse Jackson was reminding us about it. And it was a very, very powerful message from all of them. And as he mentioned, you know, we are the people, but we gotta get together and we gotta fight together for justice, for what's right to do.
That's right. You're definitely right about that. Let me go to Miss Maria Alice Gonzalez. How you doing today, ma'am?
Very good. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here with our community providing information. And I apologize. I'm aware that I have a heavy accent, but I think the people is going to understand me. So very honored to be here. Thank you so much for this invitation.
We understand you, and buenas noches to you, ma'am.
Muchas gracias.
I want to say to you, coming to you, Miss Maria, I want to say, why is it important for you to be on this show today? Why is it important for this message to get out? And why is it important for us to understand that it could happen to any of us if things ain't right?
It's information. It's provided information. As a psychologist, with my profession, we can help a lot of people related to immigration issues to become legal here, and they do not know this benefit exists. So if somebody is assaulted, if somebody is victim of domestic violence, there is help. We as counselors, we as psychologists, we can help, and they don't know. They are afraid to even tell police. So that's why it's very important for me to participate in this in order to inform that community that there is a lot of legal ways that they can have help and remain at this wonderful country legally. So that's why I want to be here, to provide information.
Okay. Now, let me ask you another question, Ms. Maria. Let me please come back to you for a second. Do you feel like a lot of the information that you do have and that you feel that the public don't know about, and even the people that's, immigrants that, that illegal, do you feel like they are scared? They are being scared to even use that information because they feel like, well, if I use that information, it's almost like I have to use myself as a sacrifice to make this happen.
Yes, misinformation or lack of information is fear, and fear paralyzes people. So if we provide information, they know, once we know what we can do and how we can do it, people as a human being, they move forward. So yes, the lack of information or to know very details, they are afraid of provide some information about their identity, because also there have been told a lot of bad stories that are not true. And even if somebody is victim of a crime, as you were mentioned at the beginning of the show, that if somebody is raped, if somebody is abused, especially the children, they don't know. And if an adult are aware of that, they are afraid to notify police because they say, yes, after their name, police ask about the social security number. Mm-hmm. But if they don't have it, they just say, no, I don't have it, period, and continue. But because it's one of the questions, what is your social security number, they hang up or they shoot down. So that's why it's important for people to know what they can do and what are their rights, even if they don't have a document that say that they are legal quote. So because, well, we are human beings and this universe belongs to us, and we can talk a little bit more about that.
You know what? I trust me. I'm giving you an invisible high five all the way from Las Vegas right now because you know because you know what? You are right, and I'm going to come around the board to our other guests. You are right. This is not one man's world. It's not. That's why I do this show. I fight for everybody. This is our world, and when I say ours, I mean ours, not his or hers. It's not a his and hers world. It's our world. And we all in this country together. Why can't we make the best out of it and conform things to where we can set up things to where it can be financially invested for our government? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you can help these people get jobs, you can help these people do stuff, that can boost our economy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
And believe me, Cogee, those are not my words. Those are the words of a 6-year-old client that I had. I was trying to explain to him why he was brought to my office in order for me, as a counselor, to make a psychological evaluation in order to prove to the Court of Immigration, to prove his emotional distress. He maybe if his father was going to be deported. So I was trying to explain a 6-year-old boy why he was brought to my office. And while I was doing that, I have a small board to play with draws of the maps on the world. So I was trying to explain about migration of animals, migration about human beings, and why, because his father was born in a different country, the United States, he needed permission to be here, and he said, planet belongs to everybody. That was his answer.
That's right.
And then I was trying to explain again until I got it. It is not him that is not understanding me. It is me. I am not understanding what he's saying. The planet belongs to everybody. So he was like, what are you trying to tell me? The planet belongs to everybody. Why my father has to hire a lawyer and pay a lot of money for documents when the planet belongs to us? So it was absurd for this kid. The idea was absurd for him. And then I got it. It is absurd. And thank God I had the opportunity to, like a month ago, to be here. I live in Austin, Texas, and I had the honor to be at the Capitolio with the Senate because they attempt to pass a law, CBS 18, that didn't pass, did not pass, but they tried to pass a law here in Texas, giving the police the power to act as immigration authorities. That law gives permission to any police, if they stop you for whatever, to ask you about the immigrant status. And there were police from Houston that they came saying, hey, if somebody's going to talk about domestic violence, they are not going to do it because they're going to be afraid to be deported if they call police. So, and there were people from a lot of churches and temples saying, hey, because that law also makes illegal, makes a crime, a federal offense if somebody helps an immigrant. So the churches and the temple were saying, hey, what are you doing? Our values, our religious values talk about help other people, and we do not ask about their immigration status. We just help, period. And I was there representing the children that are my clients. And I told them, my children are asking who gave permission to the astronauts of the United States to go to the moon. Who gave the papers
That's
to
right.
the astronauts of the United States to go to the moon? And they were, what type of visa Cristobal Columbus had when he came and discovered, quoting, America.
Right. Hold on.
What papers do they have?
Wait a minute. One second, Ms. Gonzalez, just for 1 second. You definitely hitting it on the nose, but you said something a minute ago, and it just sparked something in my head. Let me bring Mr. Daniel Fisher in. How you doing today, sir?
Very good, very good. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you, sir.
I love the energy here. You guys are doing a great job getting the message out.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it. I want to ask you a question, Mr. Fisher. You're an immigration attorney. Now, this is what I want to do. I want to throw that awareness out there before me and you even start saying anything right now. What would be your words of wisdom to any person here, that's illegal, to anybody that's illegal in this country? What would be your words of wisdom when it comes to getting in trouble right now, avoiding trouble, avoiding doing this, avoiding doing that? Let's throw that out there first before we say anything. I always want them to have a road map to safety so they can get to the help destination that we're trying to build right now.
Well, absolutely, and that's what I do on a daily basis. I have people that come into my office on a daily basis that have literally been in this country for decades, and they live in this country in fear. I could not imagine waking up every single morning, looking over my back, not knowing, is this the day where I may potentially lose everything that I've worked for? We're talking about children today, and a lot of these, there's so many people that I encounter that have literally, they were brought here as children. They didn't have any choice in it. They didn't ask for it, but they're here, and this is their country, and yet they're living as second-class citizens. Mm-hmm. So to answer your question, what can they do? Well, there's facts, and then there's also some myths that I see within the community. There is, under President Obama, we have had some pathways created that would offer some protection. There's something called the DACA, and it's Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival. So it says if you were brought here before the age of 16, you're currently under the age of 30, you don't have any criminal record, we will allow you to stay in this country without fear of deportation, and we will allow you to get work authorization. Now, it's a step in the right direction, but at the end of the day, let's face it, these are still second-class citizens. They're not allowed to vote. They're not allowed to travel in a lot of circumstances. They're not allowed to do the same things that they would have said. They're being educated in our schools. This is their country, and they're not going to have the same advantages as their classmates just because they were born on one side of the line instead of the other side of the line. And it was interesting. I recently heard it described basically as winning being born in America, it's kind of the birth lottery that you won.
That's right.
So, any one of us could have just as easily been born on the other side of that line or across, somewhere else. But we just happen to be born in this country, and we have just been so incredibly blessed in this country. And for us to be selfish about it, mm-hmm. and to say, no, we're going to cut it off. We're not going to allow others to have that same opportunity. And I'm talking about the overwhelming, vast majority of people that come into this country are just good, hardworking people that are adding to this country and more than the same opportunity that every single generation before them had, including my family. And very, very few of us can claim, to be natives to this country.
Right.
So, in the stories and the struggles, though, it's interesting. We have such short memories in this country because the struggles that the immigrants are going through now, it's a majority of them. It's the same struggles that the people that are the ones with the loudest voices against immigrants, that their families probably went through the same struggles.
That's right.
And they forget about that.
But you know what, Daniel? How can you tell somebody not stay in a country that you stole? You stole this country. You stole this country, and you're going to tell somebody they can't be here.
And not from the people from Mexico. Not from the people from Mexico.
Right,
They were natives before, so the Mexicans. So,
right.
So, yes, absolutely right, Cogee.
Yes, ma'am. Well, hey, if I feel it, I'm gonna say it. I mean, it's just real. If you stole the country, how can you not tell somebody they can't be here? You don't own the country. You invaded something that ain't even yours. You're not supposed to be here if it comes down to it. That means somebody can come and overpower you and take this country from you. Now, if we the United States and we fight as a country, we love as a country, we all got to be here in this country together. Why not treat it that way? Everybody's valuable here.
I think our immigration policy is a reflection of who we are as a people.
Right.
And it needs to bring out the best in us as a nation. It needs to be compassionate. I know you and I may disagree on this. I don't know that we can have completely open borders. I don't know that it's practical. And I think there's safety reasons. It's a dangerous world. But you know what? There's the vast majority of the people in this, that are coming to this country. They're coming here for a better life. They're coming here. They're adding to this country, and we need to figure out a way to make them, to get them, to assimilate them and give them the same opportunities as any other American is going to have.
Right.
So so while I would say that we're a sovereign nation, you can argue about the about the foundations of it, but at this point we are a sovereign nation. We do need to have some controls, but we also need to be practical. And we need an immigration system that is compassionate and that's realistic. We have millions and millions of people in this country right now that we're turning a blind eye to as a society, and it is. I can't believe that it hasn't led to more repercussions as a society. It actually amazes me that you can have people that are literally brought up as second-class citizens in this nation, and they don't rise up against it. They don't have a hatred for it.
Right.
The people that I meet in my office, they love this country.
Right.
Even though this country hasn't given them very much love back.
Right. Right. You know what? Mr. Fisher, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll ask you after you finish.
No, but I was just saying that it amazes me the absolute love on a daily basis for people that are literally told, we don't want you in this country. You need to get out. But the fact that they love this country, they want to be here, they want to add to it. It's time that we stepped up as a nation and we showed the compassionate side of who we are, and that we set an example for the world.
That's right. You're definitely right about that. What I wanted to do, Elsa, this is like a 2-in-1 for me and you right now. Okay.
You got it.
The reason why I feel like this is very important with me being a black man and Elsa, being a Spanish woman, I think that us coming together is showing that we both are in the news a lot with our cultures. And even though we're in the news a lot, we both feel that those people that are in the news, they don't represent us, but they do represent our race. So whatever's in the news, it gets reflected back on us. Does that make sense, everybody?
Yeah.
So that's why. So that's why I feel with us setting up this show and doing this show, we're showing that there's a lot of good people in this world. And if the world just accept and let us be the good people that we are, the president won't have a hard job because you already have outside people that's fighting to make this world a better place. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, matter of fact, Cogee, most presidents in all the countries, they need people that wants to be volunteers for the good causes.
They ought to hire
me. Yeah, and again,
they ought to contact me.
A very good example of it is us United States. Almost 80% of the fire department in United States are volunteers.
Right, right.
And a lot of people don't know that because same thing, ignorance or different reasons, but that's reality. Our country runs on a goodwill of the people.
That's right. You're definitely right about that. Now, what I want to do, everybody, for our guest that's on the line right now, I want me, Elsa, and my panel guest that's in the studio, I want us all to ask you all a question, because if we ask you a question, that stirs up conversation, and y'all get to give the knowledge of the question that's asked so we can help other people move forward. So if anybody's listening around the world, I want to thank you all for joining in. It's the Hands Off Our Children radio show. I'm your host, Cogee, with my co-host, Miss Elsa Prado, and I would love love for you all to get pens and paper right now. If you all can get pens and paper, I'll go to your phone and go to your tablet on your phone. I'll go to your notes where you can take notes right now. This is a most needed show far as you getting this information. Now, first thing I want to do is go to Elsa. Elsa, what would you like to ask our guests? And then I'll come around the table, and our panel, inside the studio, we can ask questions as well. And to our guests that's on the show, I appreciate you all again. Thank you for being on. Elsa.
Okay, I'm going to start with Marielle. Marielle, could you tell the listeners basically what you encounter when the families are being separated and we have these families in detention and then the kids get, taken away from mom and dad because now mom and dad are being processed in the judicial court system. What is happening to those families, Marielle?
Wow. a lot of bad things. First of all, the separation from the parents take away the sense of security in the human being. And that sense of not being protected has an impact on the self-esteem. So internally, people may think they are not worthy. They have no value. And I have clients that they have been telling me that. I remember a 12-year-old child. He told me, I don't go to eat at the school. I don't sit with others because I don't feel the same. They do not struggle with the parents being deported. I do, so I feel inferior. So I isolate myself. And when I went to court with that child in order to avoid his father to be deported, that youth, very nice lady, but on her job, she asked me, what may happen with this 12-year-old boy if his father is deported? And I say, what may happen is that he may become angry at society, not at you, not with a specific person, but he was born here. This is his country. So when he has the age to understand that because of the laws, he's the one we may heard on the news that he was shooting federal buildings. Because anger is pain. It is emotional pain. And he's going to have resentment against the government. Now, with the psychologists, we do not have a magic crystal ball to see the future. No. We are able to predict the behavior because psychology is the scientific study of the human behavior. So studies shows that when A happens and B happens, C is going to be the result. So on the people who are on the jail and that they have been criminals, when psychologists study what happened to them, they have similar stories. A broken family. For different reasons, but a broken family. So my point here is that as a very big potential damage in the future. Now, what is happening with some children, and remember, I live in Austin, Texas. I'm very close to Haro, to Pershal, and other detention centers here in Texas. Remember, the state of Texas is the state of the United States who has more deportations in the whole state. So we have here a lot of detention centers. And in Haro, we have a detention center with families. There were children there. Now the children are out. But before they were there because of redadas. I don't know the name in English. I think it's raids.
Raids.
So
yes, that's
correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Raids. Mm-hmm.
Like 4 or 5 years ago, there were a lot of raids here in Central Texas. And we had and I personally had a lot of texts and calls. There have been raids at the work centers. So a lot of parents, mothers, and fathers, they were took into the detention centers. And the children, they were waiting for the parents to pick them up at school, at a kindergarten. And listen very careful what I'm going to say, because this is happening now. We have more than 5,000 children in this situation. Those children.
Who talks about these children, right, Marielle?
They weren't picked up. They weren't picked up for the parents because they were in detention. So now the parents are in detention. And those children cannot be delivered to their family members if they don't have papers. So those children, more than 5,000, have been placed in shelters. And after a year, if the parents do not claim them, they are on adoption. They are being given away on adoption. And their parents didn't fight for them because they are in jail. They cannot go, or they were deported. They are in Mexico deported. There are a lot of parents that they do not know where their children are. They were taken by the government. Exactly.
Right.
And then the government, after a year, put it on adoption. We have more than 5,000 children here in Central Texas on that situation. That is shame on this government.
How shameful. How shameful. Now, piggyback on that, Daniel. Now, tell us what it's like to bring these families back together.
Oh, it's an amazing feeling. But to get there, what I tell everyone is, when I went to law school, I never thought that I would be doing what I'm doing. And there's many mornings that I wake up and I wish I hadn't seen what I've seen. Because once you've seen it, you can't keep quiet.
Right.
And it's just, I'm a person of faith. And I realized a long time ago, I kind of gave up the aspirations of money and all those types of things. And I said, this is my purpose in life. This is what God is wanting me to do. And I really look at what I do as, being an opportunity to bring hope to people that are, if you just like, what is it? The end result of it is when you get to keep a family united. But the reality of it is what I see on a daily basis is the fact that families are going to be separated, and it's visiting a grown man in jail, in an immigration jail, maybe stuck in there for over a year. We have people that commit serious misdemeanors and felonies in the state of Illinois that do not spend an entire year in jail, but yet somebody may spend a year in jail after they've already served their sentence through the state. They're going to be stuck in an immigration jail. And then you see a grown man crying, and because he knows he's going to be separated from his family, that these children, and when you see them, when the judge issues an order of deportation, and you see that, and you know in the back of your mind that's probably the last time that those kids are going to see their father, at least for a very long time, if ever. And, we're witnessing the separation of families. We have to ask ourselves as a nation, is this who we want to be as a nation? Is this what we want to be founded here for? I founded on. Is the separation of families. We have a political party that talks about family values, but it was just one of the most basic values, be keeping families together.
Okay, you know what? Let me ask you a question. Let me piggyback off of you for a second, please, Daniel. I want to ask you a question. How important is it for anybody that's in our country, legal, of Spanish descent, to really get up on their education and get more in that field to help fight this situation? How important is it to have more freedom fighters in this game with you, helping you out, but somebody of that culture?
Well, it's important. I think it's important for, like I said before, this is the story of America. It was the Irish, it was the Italians, it was the Jews, it was the Polish. It was, you just go down the line. Today it's people of Spanish, of African, of Asian cultures. But it's, so they're the new kids on the block, so to say. So it's important that they're activists, but it's important that everybody. I'm a white guy. And when I had my eyes open up to this, I like I said, I can't be quiet about it anymore, and I can't help but to be an activist myself. and to want to do something about this and to change this system. Because something has to be done about it. We are tearing families apart. Children are being left in this country without a mother, without a father, and it's a recipe for disaster. And we have the ability to stop it. We have the ability to make change in this country.
That's right. I hear you. Now, let me do this real quick. Let me go to Shay. Shay, what would you like to ask our guest? And then E.
I want to know, as a citizen of the United States of America, how can I change this issue for the better? What do I do? What resources do I go to in order to empower these people that, to me, are Americans? There's more American than I will ever be, as far as not eating for 10 days in order to be in this great country. What can I do as a citizen to help these people, to help these families? Anyone?
Toribio, you're a freedom fighter in Chicago. Tell them.
Well,
you're a freedom fighter. Come on, tell them.
As I was mentioning before, last time in your show, get the information of your congressman and find out for sure, request a meeting with your congressman and find out if your congressman is in favor or is against immigration reform, reunification of families. Why? Because unfortunately, a lot of politicians will lie to people and they will just tell them, yes, I will help and blah, blah, blah. But in the end, they are not going to do anything, or they haven't done anything. And so that's one of the main things that we got to start doing to hold our congressmen, to hold our senators accountable about this situation.
I got you.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
And as you know, this situation goes hand also with the imprisonment of a lot of African Americans, because there is companies out there in the United States that's what they do for a living.
Yeah,
these private companies they make places to contain people, and sometimes they bribe judges so they can send people to jail. So in order for them to get money, because every single person that is in these private jails, it's money in their pockets.
And if I can add, those owners are the ones who play the lobbyist in the majority, on my own understanding, on the Republican Party. So there is millionaires who owns those private detention centers, and they collect money from the government, from our taxes, to fill their pockets, and they use the immigrants for that. That's why they don't want the laws to be fixed. And they are the ones who want to build the wall. My goodness, this is an absurd. The wall on the border. It's like, really? But humanity did it before with China. And China has the same, the wall has the same longitude as the border between Mexico and United States. But my point here, I try to answer your question. I second the speaker before me, and also to watch, to observe before to make a vote. What I'm voting for. Why I'm voting for this person. Why I'm voting for this political party. Because then the vote counts. Absolutely do. And also in our daily living, to be less xenophobic. I've been in this country almost 20 years, but I'm still with my heavy accent. And a lot of times, people ask to talk with an English speaker person, and they ask me, "Do you speak English?" when I'm speaking English? So those type of attitudes, I don't take it personally because I know it's not me. I know it's the lack of knowledge, the lack of information.
Ignorance.
I know it's them, not me. But those type of attitudes put down other people. And also, because you say, what can I do as a regular U.S. citizen? How can I empower others? Well, just treat other human beings as you want. And I'm not trying to be religious, I'm just trying to be human rights talking. Just treat other human beings the way you want it to be treated, period.
Yes, ma'am.
And we are for again. When we travel, we are for again. In Europe, they don't like people speaking other language than theirs neither. They tolerate the Americans because Americans bring dollars. But in France, they rather people speak French. So we are for against quoting in other places as well, even when we travel. So it's kind of, I think it's good this type of program because it's kind of to make awareness about that we are just human beings and this universe belongs to everybody. Just share it.
You're right. You're right about that. You're definitely right about that. Now, everybody, we on short time right now. We down to 2 minutes. And then we'll be going into our third hour. And into this third hour, to all our listeners around the world, I want to thank you all again for tuning in. And, you know, all our listeners locally, I want to thank you for tuning in. And everybody who's being a part of the show, believe me, you definitely are a blessing to the show. Me and Elsa, we definitely thank you guys. And Elsa, I want to say to you real quick, we down to short time, but me and you can go back and forth for a minute, you know, just run down the clock for a second and get ready for our third hour. Elsa, what do you think about the second hour thus far?
I think it's very enlightening, and I hope we're opening some eyes. You know, I hope our listeners are getting a better idea of what really is going on, and that these kids are not going to be in some kind of a closet, you know, because that's what's happening with the kids in the shelters. They're literally in a closet, and I just, you know, my heart bleeds for those kids, and this is why we do this, because these kids cannot be in a closet. They need to be set free.
That's right. You're definitely right about that. And, you know, what I think about this hour thus far is, I think that just talking about it is starting to catch the flame. Now, what we do when we start this fire with this fire conversation that we have right now, we got to fan it. We got to fan it with other people putting, you know, their gas to it. You know what I'm saying? And making sure that we get this thing going where it really means something, where there's no denying that this fire has to be put out. And what I mean by that, something has to be done to help these people. There's a lot of families, like, you know, we've heard from everybody here that children are floating around right now with nobody. Children are floating around not knowing if they will ever see their parents again. A lot of parents are in jail right now. A lot of parents are just somewhere floating around wondering if their kids are all right. It's a lot of kids that, you know, are in slave homes and, you know what I'm saying, being in jail and set up for profit, you know, and everything. So that's why this show really means a lot. And I think when Martin Luther King marched and stood for all of us, I think he stood for everybody, because he would say it's about loving everybody. It's about bringing us all together. It's not about one world. It's not about one race. It's not about one man or one woman. It's about us. You know, they say for the people by us. You know what I'm saying? For the people by us. That's us. If we all don't stand together as a powerful racist, white, black, whatever color, Hispanic, any color. If we stand together as one superpower, nobody can hurt us. Nobody can do nothing to us. But if we stand together for peace and we stand together to bring all the things to the forefront that we want to see, that's what makes a difference. You agree, Elsa?
Absolutely. What did God say? Love one another.
Love one another.
It's very simple.
Love one another.
One another.
That's right. You're right about that. So everybody, we want y'all to stay locked in and stay tuned in. We got Mr. Daniel Fisher. We got Miss Maria Gonzalez. And we also got Toribio Barrera. You know, he's an activist. And I want y'all definitely to stay locked in and stay tuned in. We'll be right back. Much love to you guys. Get your pens and your paper. Do what you got to do, but get back to this show.
One day when the war is won.
You are now tuned in to the Hands Off Our Children radio show. Don't touch that dial. It can change your life.